Hi guys, how do you earn $67,000 a year by investing $235,000 into an investment property? Let's find out. Today I watched a video by Jason Hartman. He is a property investor. He teaches folks in the United States about investing in income properties. I think his video is really powerful, and I want to talk to you today about how we can apply the same principles over here in Australia as well. Let's start with a brief introduction on property investing. Most of you guys are investing in the stock market. You have probably heard of the phrase dividend investing and growth investing. The same two categories of investment also apply in real estate. We have income property, where the focus is on rental yield. Some people call this positively geared property. We also have growth property, where the property may be negatively geared and be cash flow negative, but the capital growth is likely to be a lot higher. An example of income property is a property in a regional area. It can also be an apartment in a capital city. It's usually very low cost properties, like a $200,000 or a $300,000 property, because in those scenarios, usually the rental income becomes a higher percentage of the property value. An example of growth property is freestanding house in a capital city, where usually the rental income is only between 2% and 3% of the property value, and it is barely enough to cover the mortgage interest charges. Just like how a blue chip company can give you a good dividend income stream whilst growing in value at the same time, some properties can be both cash flow positive and growing in value, but these are not common. Here's a screenshot from Jason Hartman's video. His assumptions are based on the US market, but basically the idea is that you buy a $1 million investment property or a collection of investment properties costing a total of $1 million. You put down a 20% deposit, you pay stamp duty of around 3.5%, and the property value grows at an annual rate of 6% per year. Now after 12 years, the property will be worth $2 million. You top up the loan. Initially, you owe the bank $800,000. Now you want to re-leverage it to 80% of the property value. So now you owe the bank $1.6 million and you get $800,000 extra cash. The $800,000 extra cash is tax-free because it is not income. It is simply cash flow. You can use this money to pay for your living expenses. Now, if you look at a time horizon of the next 12 years, you get to spend around $67,000 a year each year for the next 12 years tax-free. Great, isn't it? There are three simplifying assumptions in this analysis. The first one is that you assume simplistically that the rental income from your now $2 million property is sufficient to pay for the interest charges on your new $1.6 million loan. Is this always realistic? Probably not always, but if I was to make a guess, over the next 12 years, interest rates will hover around 2% to 5% mark, and the rental income is likely to be between 2% and 4% of the property value in each year. We have to remember that the property value slowly goes up each year, and the rental income also goes up each year. On the other hand, the mortgage balance remains at $800,000 over the next 12 years. So even if interest rate gradually increases, most likely you will not be out of pocket. The second simplifying assumption in this analysis is that when you have to sell the property later on, you will have enough equity to pay for the capital gains tax. If let's say you sell your property after just 12 years, you have made a capital gain of $1 million. The top Australian tax rate is currently 47%, including the Medicare levy. You pay tax on half of the capital gain, so your tax will be $235,000. If you look at the screenshot here, you have an equity of $400,000. So your equity is bigger than the income tax. In other words, your future tax will be sufficiently paid by your equity. If you sell your property after a whole 100 years, your capital gain will be very close to the total property value. It will never exceed the property value. Half of the Australian top marginal tax rate is 23.5%. Your equity will be at least 20% of the property value at that time. So the equity will still more or less cover your future tax when you sell. The third assumption in this analysis is that you assume the property grows in value by 6% each year. This is the nominal rate of return before adjusting for inflation. If you assume a 6% nominal growth, you have to imagine the future 800 grand cash out you get is also in nominal dollars. It's probably equivalent to around $500,000 in today's dollars, assuming an inflation rate of 3% per annum. So in your mind, you can think of getting $500,000 in 12 years in real terms. Now, Jason talks about continually refinancing to get bigger and bigger loans every 12 years. So 12 years after your first 12 years, you'll have a $3.2 million loan, and 12 years after that, you will have a $6.4 million loan. I can tell you that this is not realistic over here in Australia because banks over here look at the total household income to determine how much you can borrow, not just the rental income. And they stress test the mortgage repayments. Your salary needs to be very huge for you to be able to obtain a $6.4 million loan. So I'm just going to focus on the first 12 years. So what do you get after the first 12 years? You get $800,000 cash out, which is tax-free. You do need to pay capital gains tax when you sell the property, but it will be more than covered by the equity in your property. What do you get after the first 24 years? Your property value will continue to double every 12 years, and let's just say the rental income will also double every 12 years. If let's say your rental yield is always 2% of the property value each year, and if you never ever top up your mortgage, your rental income 24 years from now will be around $40,000 per year more compared to your rental income 12 years from now. So effectively, instead of getting a $1.6 million proceeds like in the screenshot here, you will start to have yearly cash flow of $40,000. This is smaller than what Jason illustrates, but it is still pretty good. How is it looking, guys? Is it looking attractive to you? One big risk with this plan is that the property growth rate may not turn out to be 6% per annum. What happens if it is only 2% per annum? The results will probably be unimpressive. I challenge you to work it out and write it down in the comments. The point I want to make is that the results will not be impressive, but you should not lose money. But what if you get lucky and your average return is 10% per annum? You'll be really rich. So this strategy should work for an average Australian with not much knowledge in property investing. Disclaimer though, this is not financial advice, and you may want to get one before you spend a lot of money to buy a $1 million investment property. I am a mortgage broker, and if you like to compare home loan or investment loan options, please reach out to me via either Instagram or the email address on my YouTube channel. See you next time and take care.